I'm Kari Borne. I'm from the Office of Continuing Education, and we have been hosting the lecture series here since 1983. A long time. So we're happy to be back this fall. And I'm going to introduce today's presenter. Dr. Lana Collet-Klingenberg is the Dean of the College of Education and Professional Studies at UW-Whitewater. She has been at Whitewater since 2009, first as faculty in the Special Education Department, and then serving as chair for 3 years before moving into the Dean's office in 2018. First in the Associate Dean role, and since 2022 as Dean. While on the faculty, Lana taught a variety of undergraduate and graduate courses, but most enjoyed working with the freshman learning communities and introducing them to the field of special education. She earned her PhD at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. Please welcome Dean Lana Collet-Klingenberg.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. One of my favorite things to do to undergrad students back in the day was to tell them to take their phones out. And what they thought I was going to say was, I don't ever want to see your phone in my class again, because that's what most of my contemporaries at the time were doing. They were fighting the onset of everybody carrying a phone. But instead, I would say, now make sure it's working, because we're going to use your phone in class today. I'm not going to do that to you. And just as an aside, an unplanned aside, now we have the onset of artificial intelligence, right? And just like with the onset of phones, many of our faculty are like, nope, you can't use artificial intelligence in my classroom. Well, guess what? They're going to use artificial intelligence because it's everywhere. So in teacher education, what we're focusing on is teaching our students, who are next year's teachers, how to use artificial intelligence intelligently, and to teach their future teachers that it's okay. An example I like to give is that when a teacher knows that he or she is going to be out of the classroom for a planned leave, and honestly, if they're doing a good job, they should have some lesson plans on hand anyway for if they're unexpectedly out of the classroom. But lesson plans take a long time to write. If you know the right prompts, you can write a pretty good substitute teacher's lesson plan in just a few minutes. So that's a good use of artificial intelligence. Cheating on your research paper, it's not a good use. And currently, artificial intelligence is not intelligent enough to make it so that we professors can't tell. The biggest caveat being that currently, with artificial intelligence created term papers, the references are usually completely made up. So it doesn't take long for the instructor to go to that reference page and look and say, yep, nope, that's not real. So, we're having a lot of fun with changes over time, right? So the College of Education, I like to say we're the reason UW-Whitewater exists, because UW-Whitewater started as a teacher education school. Back in the day, they were called normal schools. Never have really understood why normal school, but that's what they were called, and that's how UW-Whitewater was first launched. So you can't really see this very well, and that's okay, but just for fun, I asked artificial intelligence to make me a table, a timeline, and it did. So I'm going to tell you what's up here since you can't see it very well. This is events from the first 100 years, approximately, so 1868 to 1971. On the very left, you've got some overlapping dates. So in 1866, the then village of Whitewater raised $25,000, which was a lot of money then, to secure a bid to the Wisconsin Board of Normal School Regents. Board of Regents. And they won out over 16 other proposals. 2 years later, I don't know how they did this. At the end of my talk, I'm going to talk about the building project for Winther that's coming up. Start to finish, it's going to be way more than 2 years because we've been working on that building project for a decade before it got approved. But 2 years later, Old Main was complete. And campus opened. Does anybody want to guess how many students?
30.
Close, 48. 48 students and how many faculty? I heard 5 and I heard 10. It was 9 faculty. That's a pretty good faculty to student ratio. I bet a lot of our faculty today would appreciate that ratio. So in 1870 then, just 2 years later, was the first commencement. This was pre-4-year baccalaureate degrees. And the first commencement had 6 students. I left on the timeline, so I researched this and learned it. AI did not make this up. In the yellow there, it says in 1900, a unique tradition was created called Students' Day. So I had to look into that a little further. Students' Day, this is a quote from a document from that time. It says, the object of thus putting the institution under the care of the students is to test their moral culture, their executive ability, and their devotion to their work. I couldn't find how long Students' Day lasted. It'd be a really interesting experiment today, don't you think? Have the faculty and staff stay home and see what the students did with campus. I don't think Chancellor King would. I don't think he'd go for that. So then, if we move up the line then, in 1926, we were given the authority to grant bachelor's degrees. And that prompted a name change the next year to the Whitewater State Teachers College. You can see why I think that our college is the foundation of everything UW-Whitewater. In 1964, 1 year before I was born, there was rapid growth, and the name was changed to Whitewater State University with 4 colleges and 18 academic departments and the first master's degree. So by 1964, what had started in 1868 looked very, very different. In 1971, the University of Wisconsin system was formed, and our name was changed to what it remains today, the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater. I want to point out a couple things that aren't on that timeline. So the first woman graduated in 1870. The Little Red Schoolhouse was donated to UW-Whitewater in 1966. We're just going to put a pause on the Little Red Schoolhouse for a moment because I'm going to come back to it. It's the topic of much and frequent conversation on campus and in the community. A few other notable events. The first female graduate, Mary McCutcheon, later became principal of the preparatory and grammar departments. So Mary McCutcheon got her teaching degree here. She left. She taught for a while in the schools, probably Little Red one-room schoolhouses, and then she came back. Another famous woman at the university was Lucy Baker, director of vocal music from 1894 to 1937. There's going to be a Fairhaven lecture all about Lucy Baker on November 3rd by Jennifer Motzko from our library. And then in 1970, fire destroyed Old Main, except for the East Wing, which we know today as Higher Hall. The fire of 1970 was actually the second fire that UW-Whitewater experienced. The second fire was the bigger fire, and it was determined at the time to be arson. Was anybody ever caught? No. It's a mystery to this day. So the East Wing became Higher Hall. In 1970, Warhawk Stadium was built, and then in 1990, that became Perkins Stadium that we have today. And then in 1973, something happened that is really, really important to me because I'm a former special ed teacher, and that is that the Board of Regents charged UW-Whitewater with its mission to serve students with disabilities. You're going to have another lecture on October 20th related to disability advocacy by a relatively new professor in our college, Dr. Courtney Welch. She's been here, I think she's starting her 4th year this year, maybe her 5th year, and some student researchers. So that'll be a really interesting one. I might sneak in the back to hear that one. Let's talk a little more about the Little Red Schoolhouse. Again, this is a symbol to me of what Whitewater was built on, and a reminder of the importance of public education through the ages. Something that, if you're watching the news at all, you might see a lot of stories about public education, both at the college level as well as at the PK-12 level. The Little Red Schoolhouse was built in 1866, so it'd been around a while when it was donated to the university in 1966. It has a really interesting pre-UW-Whitewater history that I didn't delve into for today because of time, but if you're bored sometime, Google it. There's a lot of information even off of our university website on the Little Red Schoolhouse, but it was moved here. It's not a registered historic landmark, which was surprising to me when I first learned that. But our college, our campus, and Chancellor Corey King are dedicated to restoring and maintaining it. It has degraded a bit over the decades. It is currently not able to be used because it has some inhabitants that probably would not appreciate students joining them. But the university is working toward improving it, and last fall, the Royal Purple did a story on it and took some wonderful photos. So from the outside, it looks lovely right now, but there's still work that needs to be done on the inside. We have an educational historian in the College of Education and Professional Studies, Dr. Eric Lucky, and another longtime faculty member from Educational Foundations, Dr. Ann Durst, and they are doing some in-depth research on the schoolhouse right now. So I'm hoping that, Kari's listening and that they will be invited to do a lecture at some point, because that would be really fun. All right.
Where did it come from?
Oh, shoot. I know. I just don't remember. Give me 1 second. It came from Milwaukee, but at the time, it was a town just outside of Milwaukee. Let me see if I can find it. I'm going to pass these around for anybody who wants to see them. These are some really bad copies of some old newspaper articles. It was called the Granville School in Milwaukee. And it had to be moved because I think train tracks maybe were coming through that area.
Nice that they thought of donating it to somebody
Yes, I agree.
instead of just
So we'll just
throwing it.
pass those around. You're good. All right, so let's move on and talk a little bit more about the history. In 2001, Catchall Fieldhouse was opened. In 2009, our business college moved into Highland Hall. In 2012, Minneaska Springs is created. That's one of my favorite places on campus. It's so beautiful. In 2016, the LIFE program launched. The LIFE program is also something that's near and dear to my heart. I was the department chair for special education when Dr. James Collins joined our faculty from South Carolina. And he brought with him the idea for this program. And while it wasn't the first program of its type in our state, it was the first program at a University of Wisconsin school in our state. LIFE stands for Learning is for everyone. And in my opinion, this program fulfilled that mission that the Board of Regents had given us so long ago to support and make education accessible for students with disabilities. The LIFE program is a 2-year certificate program for young adults with intellectual disabilities. We're really proud of this program in our college. It is so popular that there's a wait list every year. The program typically has around 8 young adults with developmental disabilities. They come to campus. They live in the residence hall among their typical peers. They can take courses just like their peers take, and they also have their own curriculum with dedicated instructors that teach them skills to be independent adults. So how you make your bed, how you do your dishes, how you get food, how you prepare food, how you walk safely in the community. It's a 2-year program, and then students can be recommended to be finished, or they can be recommended for a second 2-year program, which then moves them off campus into an apartment setting to further enhance their skills for independent living. It is so emotional on the days that they welcome new students and their families to campus, because many of these families never thought that their child, who might have Down syndrome, for example, would go to college. It's a wonderful program. In 2017, our first doctorate program was awarded out of the College of Business and Economics. Sneak peek, I'm working on a doctorate for the College of Ed. We can't let the College of Business outshine us. In 2018, UW-Rock County became our second campus. We love our friends at Rock County. In fact, in a few minutes, you're going to hear me talk about a program that launched this fall that is a partnership between the College of Education and the College of Integrated Studies to prepare more teachers. And then in 2023, we started hosting the Special Olympics. The College of Education and Professional Studies today prepares the most teachers for licensure of any institution of higher ed or any alternative education program in Wisconsin. And this has been the case since 2016-17. That year, we endorsed 663 licenses, and since then, it has been upward of over 800 licenses every year. The licenses come from 34 licensure programs that span teacher education, pupil services, and administrative licenses. We also place the most interns of any program in the state. We have 44 teacher interns this year. The Wisconsin Internship Program is a program started by the Department of Public Instruction. It's a state initiative to support school districts who might be short of teachers, and of course that's all of our school districts right now. So they allow individuals who would otherwise be student teaching to serve half of the day as the teacher of record. So half the day they're a student teacher being supervised by their cooperating teacher. The other half the day they are responsible for a class. And they get paid a stipend of $4,500 by the school to do that. So it's really a great program. Amazingly, our students tend to self-select out. We have more schools asking us for interns than we have students who are really ready to be interns. And we were concerned about that when the needs started becoming more apparent. But we have a lot of students who get to student teaching and we will say, are you interested in being an intern? And they'll say, nope, I'm not ready for that. And usually they're right. So in order to be an intern, you have to apply, you have to interview, just like you're getting a job in the school. In addition to that, your program coordinator from the university has to say, yes, this person can do this, right? Because that's a big job to be responsible for the well-being of a class without your cooperating teacher.
Is that for a semester or a year?
It's a semester. It's during their student teaching semester. I'm glad you asked that, though. The Department of Public Instruction, within the last 2 years, rewrote rule, and they now allow 2 half-day semesters instead of a full-time student teaching semester if programs are interested in it. So far, we don't have any programs doing that, aside from a residency program that you're going to hear a little bit more about. Another initiative that we take part in is the Rural Schools Teacher Talent Grant, and that grant provides some, but not all, student teachers who are placed in rural school districts the opportunity to receive a small stipend, and in some instances, housing support. That's how the rural schools are trying to recruit folks into their districts from other areas. Some other things that we are great at. We offered the first dual licensure early childhood program in the state, and that program, graduates from that program leave with a teaching certificate in regular education early childhood and special education early childhood. We have the oldest business education program in the state. In 2023, our Department of Special Education was a recipient of a Regents Teaching Award. And we have numerous alumni receiving recognition as outstanding teachers. Most recently, we've had 2 of our kinesiology alum, PE teachers. Courtney Lukasiewicz and Sandy Ortez received a really prestigious award in the physical education world called the Shape America Award. Sarah Monterey was Wisconsin Teacher of the Year in 2018-19. Sarahi was an 02 and 03 alum of ours and is a bilingual educator and an advocate for dual language programs. And then in 2022, Lisa Werner was one of only 4 United States educators selected to perform experiments on a zero-gravity flight in Florida. Anybody want to guess what Lisa Werner's, if you know, you can't cheat. Those of you who don't know already, I want you to guess, what is her teaching area? She was selected to perform experiments on a zero-gravity flight.
Something with plants?
Something with plants? I heard another. Outer space? Any other guesses? Birds or bats? Those are all great guesses. They're all wrong, but they're all great guesses. She's a music educator. Isn't that incredible? Right? She's an alum of our university. She has come back and taught with Professor Glenn Hayes in our music department, and she integrates space themes into her music curriculum. So she's one of those amazing teachers who can take very disparate topics and weave them together for students to grow and bloom with. There's a lot more, but we only have so much time. All right. So the last couple of years, I've been telling the folks in our college that we're all getting tired of hearing that we license the most educators in the state. And now it's time to say we're the most innovative teacher ed program in the state. So the biggest, the best, and the most innovative. For the last 2.5 years, I have had a team of people working on building a brand, a teacher residency model. We're calling it Warhawks Teach At. And then the district name would go next. So Warhawks teach at Janesville, Warhawks teach at Beloit, Warhawks teach at Stoughton, which is where I'm from. So in 2023 and 24, a group of 4 of our faculty in the college worked with the school district of Janesville and our administrative team to create a secondary education residency model. A residency model is a bit different from traditional teacher education. In traditional teacher education, which is most of our programming, our students go through college. They do all of their coursework. The state requires, and it's a good idea, our students to have pre-student teaching experiences so they can figure out early if the classroom might not be the place for them and get more experience in the classroom if they're going to continue on. But then traditionally, that last semester of school is student teaching. They're in school, but they're in college, but they're in the school just like all the other educators for the full semester. In a teacher residency program, the curriculum is often offered either fully online or a hybrid model where there might be some courses online, some courses in the evening or on weekends. And the teacher candidates spend a lot more time in the school. So they might be there for a year. They might be there for a year and a half. Depends on where they're at in their program. But they're working as paid employees in the school. And they're paired with a teacher mentor or a coach. People often use the terms interchangeably, but a teacher mentor in their area of licensure, and they learn on the job. It's much like an electrician might apprentice to learn how to be an electrician or a plumber, or someone who goes to cosmetology school learns on the job, getting feedback from people who are experts. The research tells us two really important things. One is that residency models graduate better prepared teachers from the start, and probably more importantly, they graduate teachers who will stay. Our teacher shortage problem in Wisconsin is not because our schools are not preparing enough teachers. It's because we're losing them at the 5 to 7 year mark. They're burning out and they're leaving the state, leaving their district, or completely leaving the field. And the teacher residency research shows that doesn't happen as often with teachers who go through a residency model. A fun artifact of that research that nobody was expecting is that the teachers who serve as mentors or coaches to the teacher residents, they get retained longer too. Because typically they're mid-career teachers who maybe are starting to feel a little bit like, is this all there is? And then they get asked to be a mentor teacher. Most school districts provide some sort of compensation for being a mentor teacher, and they get to teach the next generation, so they find that rewarding. Something else I'll note about this field of teaching is that once you become a teacher, unless you become an administrator, there's not really an upward career path for teachers. So it kind of makes sense that at some point people might be like, what's next? So we've been working on this teacher residency model. It's a bit of a challenge in Wisconsin because there's not a lot of funding in the public schools or at the university. So we have to find ways to incentivize for the school district as well as the teacher candidates. But we had our first Warhawks Teach At math teacher start last January in Janesville. She had a fantastic first semester. She will finish her program this semester, graduate in the fall, and she already has a job in Janesville. They've already committed her to continue working there. So we're excited to grow the program. We've started with math because that was the interest of the faculty who said they would work with us. Math and science and business ed were 3 of the 4 faculty who said they would work with us. The 4th was someone from our educational foundations department who specializes in classroom management and classroom culture. So Dr. Gardner Seawright's a really valuable member of the team as well. We have other faculty now knocking on our door saying, we want to do this too. So stay tuned. We're really looking forward to what we can do with that next. And then on a sad note, I'll share with you that I almost didn't share this today because it is a sad note. But last fall at this time, the Department of Public Instruction reached out to me asking if we wanted to be part of a large grant that they had been awarded from the Department of Education to license teachers who were working on emergency license in special education. And the grant provided funding for tuition for a free master's degree, plus cross-categorical special ed licensure. Unfortunately, last Friday, we received a lovely Dear John letter from the Department of Education canceling the grant. So today, I sent what I tried to make a very kind and gentle note to our students who are already enrolled in the program and our school districts that are hosting these individuals because they're working in the school district, to let them know that after this fall, we will not be able to continue the program.
Was that a federal grant?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. So it is a bummer, but we are going to keep moving forward with teacher residencies because it does provide a solution for the teacher shortage. And it is going to take us some time to figure out all the nuts and bolts and get up to speed. But our school districts are willing to work with us. And I'm starting to hear creative stories of how school districts are able to step up and provide funding to their teacher residents. So we're going to keep working on it. We're going to get there. And we've learned a lot just in this 1 year of running this program. And the Department of Public Instruction is not taking the news lightly, so they're working on some action as well. Gail?
What kind of dollars did we lose?
$2.2 million for Whitewater. Yeah, we were going to prepare over 100 special educators over the course of 5 years. Yeah, it was a blow. DPI's grant was $12 million. So it was teacher prep with us and Milwaukee. Actually, it was Madison, but housed at Milwaukee, and then funneling these new teachers into the state's mentoring program, again, to address the retention issue. So let's talk about happier things. I want to end with some fun pictures for you. So just a few more things. We continue to offer many of the programs that led to our legacy as the best in the state. But we are also addressing the demand for more licensed educators and the challenges that face returning adult students, career changers. There are custodians and bus drivers and lunchroom workers who want to be teachers, but they can't walk away from those jobs to come to school here. So we have been busy developing, in addition to our amazing in-person programs, developing online programs that are high quality and that will meet the needs of these individuals and school districts. So we are just now launching an online elementary middle master's degree. 2 years ago, our Communication Sciences and Disorders Department, which has our speech and language pathology program, created an online post-baccalaureate or second degree, and that has been hugely popular. We have just launched an online post-bac in English as a second language and bilingual bicultural education. And the last one here is the one that I promised to talk about earlier. This is our partnership with the College of Integrated Studies at Rock County. Myself and a couple of other people in our college were part of a group that for 6 years, I'm not exaggerating, 6 years, education deans from around the state tried to put our heads together to figure out a way to do a degree completion program with licensure for people coming from the Wisconsin Technical College system with an applied associate's in the foundation of teacher ed, and we couldn't get there. Toward the end of those 6 years, somebody on my team pointed out that our Rock County campus has the Bachelor of Applied Arts and Sciences degree completion program. It offers a lot more flexibility than we can offer on the Whitewater campus for a number of reasons. It's complicated. So I raised my hand at one of those last meetings with all the deans and said, I think we have a pathway. And we did. We figured it out. So I worked with Dean Tricia Clausen and some other folks. We recruited some faculty members from each of our colleges. And this fall, we launched the Foundations of Teacher Ed Bachelor of Applied Arts and Sciences pathway. This is an undergraduate pathway, degree completion, and licensure in elementary middle education. We are so excited about it. The undergraduates are already working in schools with their associate's degree. They are taking online courses with us to finish their bachelor's degree and earn licensure. The Department of Workforce Development heard what we were doing, reached out to us, and said they have some funding to support these teacher candidates with the cost of the remainder of their degree. So we're really excited about this program. There's something like 2,500 people in our state who have that Foundations of Teacher Ed degree, and they have not to date had a way to complete it in a reasonable way. Now, I want to be clear, Whitewater would always accept a student with an associate's degree. But an applied associate's degree is a little different than a general associate's degree. And even though we would accept them and transfer in their credits, most of their credits would not apply to their major. So it wouldn't be like a 2+2 where they had 2 years associates and then could come here for 2 years. They would be repeating a lot of coursework. So this is a really wonderful step forward. And we couldn't have done it without partnering with the College of Integrated Studies. In fact, it's their degree. We're supporting them. All right. So after that whirlwind walk or run through the first 157 years, I'd like to finish my time with you this afternoon and share with you some renderings for the new Winther Hall. So in this coming spring, the spring of 26, we will move out of Winther Hall. I've been working with a lot of folks on campus for the past 2 years planning for this. So we're going to be scattered across campus. Our colleagues across campus have been nothing but welcoming. And we will be out until the fall of 2028. So we don't have a contractor yet. That's happening very, very soon. They've been to our building. They swarmed our building one day and got all the information they needed, and then they're going to start taking bids for the contractor. And so when the architects and UW system told us that we would move back in the fall of 2028, anybody know what my response was? I said, I've worked with contractors before. So we're holding on to that loosely. We may move back in the fall of 2028, but we're going to move back into a building that reflects current and future state-of-the-art facilities for all things education. We are so excited. It's going to be amazing. Our groundbreaking is happening this December 4th, and it's going to coincide with the December Board of Regents meeting on campus. So there was a small group of us that tried to get the groundbreaking moved to spring because December? But Chancellor King is the boss, and he really wanted to do it at this Board of Regents meeting that we're hosting. So I've been told that they're going to bring in dirt since we probably can't actually put shovels in the ground. And then I said, well, what if it's blizzarding that day? And they said, well, we'll bring the dirt inside. Which really seems like a fitting thing for Winther Hall. How many of you have been in Winther Hall? You know. You know. So here's some renderings. So this is the old Winther Hall over here. That's the new one. This is prettier in big and really better color, but you get the idea. The outside of our building, here's two other pictures of the outside. The outside of the building will more thoroughly connect us to green space and our natural environment. When Winther Hall was built in the 60s, the conventional psychology of the time for schools was to make them look like prisons. And they ran like prisons. Everything on a bell, all the rules, no windows. Because the psychologists of the time said if we had windows, the kids would be distracted by what was happening outside. Thank goodness they did more research and figured out that we all need to be outside or at least see outside. So the outside is going to have, we're even going to have an outdoor classroom space that our faculty can use during the milder months. I presented these pictures and more to the foundation board about a year ago. And as I was preparing my presentation, because of AI, PowerPoint now offers descriptions for the pictures for you, the alternative text for pictures. And when I think it was that picture, when I put it in the PowerPoint, the description for the picture popped up and it said, "A building with many, many windows." And I said, how appropriate. So I left it. Hallie Leverdew is the interior designer for this project with the Somerville Architect Group, and she's been delightful. She's been bringing in a lot of natural elements to the design, so there's a lot of wood finishes, some actual green spaces in the building, and of course all those lovely windows. In addition, so for that picture, that's the side of the building that faces Roseman Hall, for those of you who know campus. Looks way better than it does right now. And there's a pop out there that's going to be a stairwell between the second floor or the first floor and the lower level. And again, just bring in so much light. All right. Just share a few more pictures with you and then we'll see if you have any questions. So these pictures are coming into the front lobby. What you're looking at there is the one on the right. That door is what comes off lot 14, so the side of the building that faces Star and Road. And so to the right there, from that door is what those of you who know Winther will recognize as our large lecture hall, 2001. That floor is going to be leveled. And that area is going to be our student services center. So advisors, our clinical placement office. It's going to be really sharp. It's going to be like a one-stop shop for our college for students. They're going to see it first thing when they walk in the door. And then if you look the other way from the lobby, you will see a combined clinic for our communication sciences and disorders and our counselor ed program. And both of those programs provide services to the community, but now they will be sharing clinic space and having some overlap in what they do. There is a lot of student-friendly spaces. So these are photos of areas where students can eat their lunch, hang out, work on group projects, probably take a nap. It's going to just be incredible. Our students are getting really excited about it, too. I heard some students the first week of class in the lobby talking about it. One student had told the others this was happening, and they were trying to figure out their graduation dates to figure out if they'd still be here when the building was done. We also are going to have a wellness family room and a health room on the third floor. So these will be spaces that will be used for self-care. For instance, if someone who has diabetes could change out an insulin pump privately without being in a bathroom. A mother could take a child in there to nurse. Someone who wasn't feeling well could go in and rest. So that will be a nice addition. We don't currently have that. Also, for those of you who know Winther, we're going to have bathrooms for everybody on all the floors. Woot woot. We get excited about these things. All right, so our big classroom moving forward will not be that 2001 space, but instead will be in the lower level, right underneath there, 1001, and it's going to have completely movable everything. So we'll be able to use it as a large lecture hall. We'll be able to use it for a large meeting, Probably the student orgs will be able to push everything to the walls and do games and activities. I predict that this room's going to be booked 24/7. As I said, we're excited about this in the college, and I think others on campus are getting really excited about it too. I actually had a reach out from the psychology department a couple months ago saying, you know, we have dedicated classrooms in your building now. Are we going to get that? And I said, I'll talk to your dean. I was very non-committal. We are going to have lots of other classrooms throughout the building too. Almost all of our classrooms will have 2 doors. Those that don't have 2 doors will be connected with a closet in the room so people could go from one room to another. This is an important safety feature in the times that we currently live in. We'll also have easy electronic ability to lock down classrooms and to lock down our faculty wings should the need arise. So lots of safety features, lots of updated technology. It's going to be beautiful. And then in the lower level of our building, we will have, as we have now, our College Learning Technology Hub. This will also be a flexible space for students to come in and get help with their educational technology, but also for people to bring classes down to probably do some work on AI. I mean, currently we have virtual reality in our learning technology lab. That's fun. But you know, in another 2.5 years, there's probably going to be something that none of us have ever heard of yet, because that's how fast things are changing. So over our 157-year history as the founding educational pathway of UW-Whitewater, and now the leader in the state in educator preparation, so much has been accomplished, and there have been so many people who have built on the work of their predecessors to get us where we are today. So I imagine the next 150 years will bring changes and innovation that we can't even imagine, and I am so grateful to be even a small part of it. Kari introduced me at the beginning as the dean of the college. When I talk to people about my career pathway, I say I'm the accidental administrator. I could have been quoted back in 2005, 6. I could have been quoted as saying that I would die in the classroom. I had no idea. This was not in my 10-year plan or my 20-year plan. I might. But I'm always open to the next possibilities. And I love this quote, "Forever is composed of nows." And that's what we focus on every day in the college. So thank you for your time.